Hee-haw, Miss Debbie's here.
Miss Debbie is minutes away from meeting Oussama's parents. But there's a problem. You see, it turns out Oussama hasn't exactly been honest with his family.
Does your mom and dad know I'm moved here permanently now?
To be honest, I don't tell.
You didn't tell them?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh no, there it is again. More question marks about Oussama. That's a little suspicious. Why hasn't he told his parents the truth about Debbie?
Right now, I'm thinking that Oussama doesn't have all his cards on the table with me. This is a warning sign of some sort.
One thing's for sure, Oussama is hiding something. But before we try and figure out what that something is, let's go back to the start of this episode. So the last time we saw Debbie and Oussama was on a mission to prove his love to Debbie. He had a lot of making up to do after their initial misunderstanding. But with the aid of a camel ride and some poetry, their love story seems to be back on track. Or so it seems, because today's the day Debbie is finally going to meet Oussama's parents. Given the 43-year age gap between her and Oussama, this might be a little awkward.
After spending a couple of days in Rabat, Oussama and I are finally headed to Kemiset to meet his family. Push that baby in there at an angle.
Now, after their initial fight, where Oussama revealed that he wasn't quite ready to marry Debbie, even though she'd flown all the way to Morocco with the intention of never going home, she understandably lost a lot of trust in him. But with Debbie being 67 and Oussama only 24, even though Debbie is young at heart and Oussama thinks he's an old soul, I do wonder what Oussama's parents will think of the age difference. Debbie's concerned about it too.
I'm extremely nervous to meet Oussama's parents. It's the big age difference.
You should be nervous, Debbie. Oussama's parents are simple farmers from a small rural village.
We're not in Atlanta, and this sure in the heck ain't Sugar Hill.
Yep, you've certainly got that right, Debbie. This sure as heck ain't America. But even in America, your relationship is a bit unusual. I, for one, can't wait to see Oussama's family's reaction. Are they going to be okay with him marrying someone outside his religion? Someone so much older than him, 3 times his age? Well, it turns out that Oussama has already prepared his mother and sister for what to expect. And apparently, they're totally cool with it.
When I told my mom and my sister about you, they said, it's okay. They don't think how old are you. They don't think about how you look like. They think about what's in her and what in the mind.
Okay, so that's your mum and sister. But what about your dad, Oussama? Oussama is quite the romantic, and he's very good with words. That's something that Debbie loves about him. But I do wonder whether he covers the truth with his flowery language. When Debbie expresses that she's worried his parents will think she's a nasty American trying to steal their son away, Oussama says something very interesting.
Every mother and father wants for the children a future.
And they know that my intention is good. That's what.
Yep, this is the point.
Isn't that a strange thing for Oussama to say? That his parents are okay with it because they want a future for him? What exactly does he mean by that? That sounds a bit strange. That future clearly doesn't involve any children. It's gonna mean sooner rather than later, when Oussama's still in his 40s but Debbie's in her 90s, he's going to need to take on more of a carer's role for her. So what future is he talking about here? This is hardly a relationship for the future. This is for the present. And you've got to assume that he's talking about a future in America here. Which raises the million-dollar question, is Oussama in this relationship to build a better life for himself? A future in the land of opportunity?
Does your mom and dad know I'm moved here permanently now?
To be honest, I don't tell.
You didn't tell them?
Yep.
Oh my God.
So Oussama told his parents about Debbie and about her age, but he left out the part where Debbie made the decision to permanently move to Morocco.
I want you to tell them.
Oh, you want me to tell?
Yep.
I mean, I guess I'm having a tough time understanding why would he leave it up to Debbie to break that news to his parents? Why is he okay with saying he's in a relationship with a woman who's nearly 70, yet he can't bring himself to say that she wants to live in their country? Does he perhaps believe that his parents' acceptance will be easier if they believe she'll be taking him back to America?
I'm thinking that Oussama doesn't have all his cards on the table with me, and I don't like that feeling.
There's definitely something shady going on with Oussama. From what we've seen, he's got no problem lying by omission, allowing Debbie to fly to Morocco to marry him, all the while knowing that he wasn't ready to do so. So what other crucial information has he been keeping from Debbie or his parents, or both?
وزعما كيفاش تحسي نتيا واش فرحانه زعما حيت جاي
Follow me.
The vibes in the apartment are so bizarre. It might just be Debbie and Oussama's craziness bouncing off one another, but I'm getting whiplash from the bursts of laughter and then the immediate awkward silences that are happening.
Thank you, bravo. I feel like I just saw a show.
But with that being said, Oussama's family do seem very nice and welcoming. They're treating Debbie like an honoured guest. Just look at how many sweets they've brought out for her. They're clearly being very polite hosts, regardless of how they actually feel.
You must think your son is unusual, huh?
That certainly wipes a smile off Oussama's mum's face. Her son is a bit unusual. Something's not quite right. It almost feels like Oussama's mum isn't really sure how she feels about Debbie. And look, you can't blame her. If your child came home with someone 3 times his age, you'd probably have some reservations too. So the real question is, why don't his parents have more of a problem with it?
العمر ماشي هو العائق بالنسبة للعلاقة بين الأفراد. هو اللي كيهم هو الإنسان كيفاش يعني كيتفاهم من الناحية الفكرية.
His family seem nice and all, but I'm just having a lot of trouble buying it. The fact that his whole family is magically okay with Oussama being with a 67-year-old woman just doesn't make any sense at all. My strong suspicion is that Oussama's family want him to go to the US to build a better life for himself. For that reason, they're willing to accept Debbie. Not because they think she's the ideal wife for Oussama, but because they think she'll be able to bring his dreams into fruition. That being said, his father's official stance is slightly different.
في الأول جاتني يعني غريبة وفي الآخر فاش لقيته يعني كيتفاهم معها سميتو في التليفون وداك الشيء وتفهمت الأمر وسلمت ليه الأمر.
If this really is his reaction, then he may just be the most chilled out dad in all of Morocco. Hey, I guess it's possible, right? Judging by how Oussama's turned out. And also, I noticed that Oussama's sister doesn't wear the headscarf, even though Oussama's mum does, which implies he's left that decision up to his daughter, which again implies he's quite chilled out, quite liberal. But Oussama's mum is being suspiciously quiet about the whole thing. Oussama did warn Debbie in the car that this would likely be the case because his mum is apparently very shy, but is that really the truth?
My mother don't talk that much, but don't take it like a bad thing. Because I told you, my mother is really shy.
Shy, or just suddenly questioning whether she should be approving of this bizarre relationship? I'll let you make up your own mind there. But as far as we can see for now, the meeting goes well. Debbie even manages to get a laugh out of Oussama's mum. And that really is a testament to Debbie's amazing personality. She's so full of life. She's taken this really awkward situation, embraced it head on, and seemingly won everyone over. But I have a sneaking suspicion that for now, everyone's on their best behaviour because this is an initial meeting. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Debbie reveals she has no plans to go back to the US.
My dream of marrying Oussama is starting to become more of a reality, and I'm starting to feel like, okay, we're headed in the right direction now.
I'm just gonna go all in here and I'm gonna make a prediction. Debbie has a prenup, which means Oussama's not getting his hands on any of her money. Which leads me to suspect, I think Oussama will agree to marry her only if she agrees to move back to America. What do you think? Am I reading this right? Let's continue the conversation down in the comments.